Tonight, a full-blown witch hunt. That's how the lawyers representing nurse Sandy Peggy describe her treatment by NHS Fife. But lawyers for Beth Upton told an employment tribunal the doctor's life is being shaped by the prejudices of somebody else. Also on tonight's programme, commuters welcome the scrapping of peak time rail fares.
Paying less to get to work is always a good thing.
It's almost half the price it was before.
The Scottish Government hopes it'll encourage more people out of their cars and onto the train. A landslip closes the A83 near the Rest and Be Thankful, leaving some drivers with a 60-mile detour.
And coming up in tonight's sport, it's transfer deadline day. We'll have the latest from up and down the country as Rangers close in on a new Portuguese striker.
Hello, I'm Laura Miller. This is Reporting Scotland. The lawyer for a nurse who's taken NHS Fife to an employment tribunal says her client was subjected to a full-blown witch hunt for saying a transgender colleague shouldn't have been in a female changing room. Sandy Peggy's team say she's been the subject of a character assassination in the case. As hearings come to an end, the opposing side argued trans doctor Beth Upton's life was being shaped by the prejudices of somebody else. Our reporter Louise Cowie has more.
The two legal sides in this contentious case arrived to give their final arguments. It centres on an exchange between nurse Sandy Peggy and Dr Beth Upton in a female changing room at the Victoria Hospital in Kirkcaldy on Christmas Eve 2023. The pair dispute exactly what happened, but it's agreed that Miss Peggy told Dr Upton, who is a trans woman, that she objected to the doctor's presence there. Afterwards, Dr Upton made an allegation of bullying and harassment against the nurse, and Miss Peggy was suspended pending an investigation. Miss Peggy claimed her experience amounted to harassment and took legal action against NHS Fife and Dr Upton, citing the Equality Act 2010. At the outset of this tribunal, the judge issued a ruling in which he said that both sides could make their case using their preferred language. Since proceedings started, the UK Supreme Court unanimously ruled that a woman is defined by biological sex under equalities law. In light of that ruling, Nurse Peggy's lawyer began today's summing up by arguing that the tribunal has no choice other than to accept that Dr Beth Upton must be excluded from women-only spaces. Naomi Cunningham said NHS Fife has subjected a nurse of 30 years unblemished service to a full-blown witch hunt for not wanting to undress in front of a male colleague, attempted to smear her as a bigot and as a transphobe. Ms Cunningham went on to say that allegations about supposed racism were an attempt at character assassination and concluded that NHS Fife is an organisation in delusion regarding gender self-ID. The tribunal previously heard that patient safety allegations against Sandy Peggy were also investigated. On the day hearings resumed in July, it emerged that NHS Fife had cleared Miss Peggy of gross misconduct. This afternoon, the tribunal heard arguments from the lawyer representing NHS Fife and Dr Upton. Jane Russell KC said the Supreme Court had made it clear that they were not disadvantaging or removing protections for trans people, that there were exceptions. She said the board took the view that there was no coherent reason to exclude Dr Upton from the female changing room. Up until the complaint, no one had complained, and nobody has complained since. Ms Russell said Dr Upton neither did or said anything that was harassing in nature. The doctor's life is being shaped not by the choices she makes, but by the prejudices of somebody else. She went on to say Miss Peggy confronted a young doctor alone in a changing room at midnight. She made an unfortunate choice to confront Dr Upton in the way she did, and in that crossed a line. Closing submissions will continue tomorrow. Deliberations won't start until mid-October. Louise Cowie, Reporting Scotland, Dundee.
A 44-year-old man has been arrested in connection with the alleged sexual assault of an 8-year-old boy in Drumnadrochit in the Highlands. Officers received reports that the child had been approached within his tent at the Loch Ness Bay campsite in the early hours of Thursday the 31st of July. Police say inquiries are ongoing. Now, peak rail fares are being scrapped on ScotRail trains, meaning passengers will no longer pay higher prices during rush hour. Here is what it means then for those getting on any time day return on some routes. Between Elgin and Inverness, passengers will be saving £8.50. Those travelling between Perth and Dundee will save just over £5. And those on the Glasgow and Edinburgh route will see the price nearly halve, saving nearly £16. Our transport correspondent David Henderson has more.
First thing Monday morning at Glasgow's Queen Street station. Until now, these peak time travellers and almost 140,000 others like them were paying higher fares. Now those peak fares are being scrapped, with tickets costing the same throughout the day.
It's brilliant. Saves so much money coming back and forth to work.
Does it make a difference to you?
Oh yeah, massive. It's almost half the price it was before.
I'd probably get the train more because it costs more to obviously park and with petrol and stuff. So if the train was cheaper, then I'd probably just get the train.
Cost of living is hard for everybody just now, and that kind of shrinks our world a little bit. And I think this helps. One way of helping open it up a wee bit.
Paying less to get to work is always a good thing.
Fewer people make the traditional rush hour commute these days because of home and hybrid working. But this change will still have a substantial impact, potentially reducing the cost of travel on more than 40 million journeys.
The move's set to cost almost £30 million a year, and it's funded by the Scottish Government. But will it fare any better than the last time it was tried 2 years ago? It delivered only a limited increase in passenger numbers and little sign that commuters were shifting from cars onto trains. This morning, the First Minister was at Waverley Station defending the scheme.
I think it's really important that we use public money to encourage more people to change their travel patterns and to move from their cars onto the railway. But I'm also wanting to do things that improve the situation that people face with the very high costs that people are facing today.
The number of people travelling by train is still well down on pre-pandemic levels, with ScotRail services notably quieter than before. So trade unions say peak fares were a tax on workers and had to go. Campaigners for improved public transport say this move's long overdue.
I think it's a welcome move by the government in Scotland. It takes away the penalty that rail travellers have had to suffer for far too long, having to pay more to travel at peak times, when motorists and other road users face no such penalty.
Tomorrow, MSPs are back at Holyrood, the summer recess at an end, and looming larger, a Scottish election next spring. So cutting peak fares looks like part of a plan to appeal to voters feeling a cost of living squeeze. David Henderson, reporting Scotland.
The Scottish Labour leader has described claims that the MSP Colin Smith hid a camera in a Holyrood toilet as deeply distressing. Anas Sarwar says he hadn't been aware of concerns regarding Mr Smith's behaviour, but moved swiftly to suspend him from the party as soon as he found out about the allegations. The South of Scotland MSP denies the claims. Well, our political correspondent David Wallace-Lockhart is here. David, what was Anas Sarwar saying today then?
Well, he was giving a speech about the direction he wants to take Scotland in, but of course a couple of weeks ago he suspended the MSP Colin Smith from his party after Mr Smith was charged with possessing indecent images of children. And last week the Daily Record reported that Mr Smith was facing an additional charge of hiding a camera in a toilet at Holyrood. Now, this was the first time we had access to Anas Sarwar since these latest allegations had emerged, so I put to him to get his reaction today.
It's deeply distressing and shocking for all of us and for people across the parliamentary estate, no doubt. As soon as we became aware of the seriousness of the allegations, Colin Smith was suspended. He now sits as an independent MSP.
We should say officials at Holyrood have tried to reassure all building users about the safety of the toilets, and Police Scotland have been in recent days to conduct a sweep of all of them.
And there's likely to be more questions around this situation with Colin Smith when Parliament returns tomorrow.
That's right, and should announce some sort of breaking news this evening. Colin Smith has resigned as convener of the Economy and Fair Work Committee at Holyrood. Party leaders are due to meet tomorrow with Holyrood's presiding officer and the chief executive of the Parliament. Officials have faced question about why Mr Smith's access to the Parliament was not revoked immediately when criminal charges against him came to light. It wasn't until last week that his security pass was suspended, meaning he can't get access to the Holyrood building. A Scottish Parliament spokesperson said officials had worked urgently to establish both a legal and appropriate route for them to take action. So this is all basically complicated by the fact that MSPs aren't employees of the Parliament. Banning them from the Parliament is a really big deal, and in some ways this has been a bit of an unprecedented situation. And we should say that Colin Smith has denied hiding a camera in any toilet at Holyrood.
OK, David, thank you. 2 male firearms officers who were removed from armed policing after posing for a picture with the celebrity Talia Storm in Edinburgh have won a combined payout of almost £50,000. An employment tribunal found that Police Scotland directly discriminated against the officers because of their sex. Well, our reporter Katie Hunter is outside one of Police Scotland's main bases in Glasgow. Katie, what happened here then?
Laura, in March last year, 2 firearms officers, PC Stephen Jones and PC Greg Tunnock, were on duty in Edinburgh in a marked police car. They saw a crowd of people in the Cowgate area. One of the officers recognised the radio presenter Talia Storm, and they asked for a picture with her. And someone filmed this interaction and posted it on her social media. Now, the officers were intending to give the picture to the communications department here at Police Scotland as an example of firearms officers positively engaging with members of the public. But the tribunal heard that management were worried that the video would be perceived as sexist, given a previous high-profile tribunal where the firearms unit in Edinburgh was described as a boys' club. Both officers were subsequently stripped of their authority to carry firearms, and that was a decision that the tribunal described as knee-jerk. It found there was nothing that could reasonably be perceived as sexist or misogynistic in the officers' interaction with Talia Storm, and they had been directly discriminated against. Now, today, the organisation which represents rank-and-file police officers in Scotland welcomed the tribunal's findings.
For the officers to go through that, it's not a nice experience for anyone to go through, and I'm glad to see that the proper result came at the end of it. Police Scotland have to learn from this. We can't continually go to employment tribunals. This shouldn't be happening in this day and age, and they have to follow their processes. They have to take a breath and look at what's in front of them and actually get it right in future.
So what other reaction has there been, Katie?
Well, Laura, Rona Malone is the former firearms officer who won a payout of almost £1 million from Police Scotland for being victimised. She congratulated the officers involved, saying it takes phenomenal courage and resilience to hold an organisation of this scale to account. And this is another high-profile, costly tribunal that Police Scotland has lost. In response, a Police Scotland spokesperson has said it's important that we now carefully consider the judgment to gather any learning and areas of improvement before commenting further.
OK, Katie, thank you. Scotland's prosecution service has rejected Humza Yousaf's call not to raise criminal proceedings against protesters who voiced support for the banned group Palestine Action. The former First Minister asked the Lord Advocate Dorothy Bain to make a policy statement saying peaceful protesters would not face prosecution. The Crown Office says the move would be contrary to her obligation to independently enforce the criminal law. Our Home Affairs correspondent David Cowan reports.
In England, mass demonstrations in support of Palestine Action have resulted in mass arrests, with over 100 people facing charges under the Terrorism Act. So far, Scotland has only witnessed a handful of arrests, but more could be on the cards this weekend. Now, a former First Minister and Justice Secretary wants the head of Scotland's prosecution service to state publicly that peaceful protesters will not face prosecution.
Is it really a good use of the court's time and the Crown's time to prosecute individuals who are in a peaceful manner holding up placards showing support for Palestine Action? I would suggest it is not a good use of time or resource, and Lord Advocate has the ability to make it clear that it is not in the public interest to prosecute.
Palestine Action was banned after activists caused an estimated £7 million worth of damage inside an RAF base. The UK government says the group has become increasingly aggressive, with members prepared to use violence, claims not yet tested in court. Supporters of the ban say the group is a threat to national security.
This is a deeply irresponsible call from Humza Yousaf. As a former First Minister, he must know that the prosecution service has to be independent of politics, and politicians like him shouldn't be trying to influence their decisions.
This afternoon, Scotland's second most senior law officer told Humza Yousaf, whilst they recognise the fundamental right of people to protest within legal boundaries, it would not be an appropriate use of the Lord Advocate's authority to issue a statement of prosecution policy of the type you request. Furthermore, I would consider such a statement to be contrary to the Lord Advocate's obligation to independently enforce the criminal law. That law is likely to be tested again in Edinburgh this Saturday.
People are going to defy the criminalisation of a T-shirt or the criminalisation of an idea. And some of them will wear T-shirts and carry signs that say, I oppose genocide, I support Palestine action.
The Crown's argument is that it can't give the green light for acts which the law regards as criminal. It says careful attention will be paid to what was said and done before they decide whether to prosecute. David Cowan, reporting Scotland.
OK, let's see what's coming up now on the news at 7 over on the BBC Scotland channel. Sarah McMullen is here. Hi, Sarah. Who are you hearing from tonight then?
Hi, Laura. Yes, tonight we are discussing the hugely popular weight loss drug Mounjaro. From today, that's seeing huge price increases, rising by up to 170% for the largest dose with some suppliers. And it's estimated that around 9 out of 10 people who get a prescription for this do so privately. So it is causing some concern. We're joined by an obesity expert from Glasgow University. Also tonight we are with the new park rangers in the Cairngorm National Park. They're helping to keep tourists there safe, but also the landscape safe too. And also it's transfer deadline day. So Michael Stewart joins us to talk us through the action so far.
Sure, as we will be hearing much more in our sports desk coming up soon as well. Thank you, Sarah. To some of the day's other stories now. As a new Kalmak ferry being built in Turkey will be further delayed, MSPs have been told. The MV Isle of Isla, which was due for delivery last October, was expected to arrive here by the end of this month. Holyrood's Transport Committee has now been told that date won't be met. The government-owned ferry company Seamal said delays were caused by global supply issues and an earthquake in Turkey in 2023. A new music fund to honour Ailey MacLeod from Barra, who was killed in the Manchester Arena attack, has been made available by a charity set up in her memory. Ailey was one of 22 people who died in the terrorist bombing in May 2017 at an Ariana Grande concert. £2,000 a year for aspiring pipers and drummers under 25 will be available through the National Piping Centre in Glasgow. Now, the A83 is a lifeline for many communities, running 100 miles from Loch Lomond to Campbelltown. But one section near the Rest and Be Thankful has a long history of disruption, and it is closed once again tonight after heavy rain caused a landslide on the route. It means motorists face a 60-mile diversion. Gillian Sharp has the story.
This is the result of persistent rainfall in the early hours of this morning. 11 landslips over a 3-kilometre stretch, with 2 depositing debris right onto the road.
Overnight there was localised very extreme rainfall where about 75 mil of rain fell around about the Rest and Be Thankful and Glen Kinglass area. We have inspected the various sites with geotechnical engineers and we've now commenced the clear-up operation.
The road is expected to be closed until tomorrow.
On average, more than 4,200 vehicles use this stretch of road every day. At the moment, they're facing a diversion of nearly 60 miles.
I'm on my way to Mum's house for the week. It's a bit of an inconvenience going all the way around. It's a big detour, so I'm not looking forward to it.
The area around the Rest and Be Thankful is vulnerable to landslips, and that impacts local businesses. At this cafe in Aracher, they're already looking at the effect on trade.
You're just relying on enough people in this village, because a lot of people will probably plan on not going out for the day. They'll know they can't go that way. So I'm just relying on that. It was good this morning. I had a group of hill walkers. About 8 or 9 of them was in this morning. So it's been a small trickle of customers, you know. But not in what you'd expect it to be for this time of year.
On the other side of the closure in Inverary, businesses are worried too.
It's super stressful, especially at this time of year. We kind of expect it to happen through the winter, but at this time of year, it's just not something that you even factor into happening. And it's super scary for the week ahead because we just don't know what it's going to bring. At this time of year, we should be having tourists flooding the streets of Inverary every single day. And when we're looking out and there's nobody there, it is very, very scary.
We're told the clean-up operation here is a complex one, with inspections tomorrow showing if further work is needed. Gillian Sharp, reporting Scotland, Aracher.
OK, as promised, Sheila's here with the sports. Deadline day.
It sure is, and it could be a busy one. Hello there. There are just over 4 hours left for football clubs to squeeze in any signings before the transfer window shuts at 11 o'clock. And after a slow start, there could be a flurry of last-minute activity. Let's start with Rangers, who are close to completing a deal for Everton's Portuguese striker Youssef Chermiti, in a deal reported to be costing the Ibrox club around £8 million. We understand Russell Martin is also closing in on Marseille defender Derek Cornelius, while Cyril Dessers appears to be on his way to Greece. Celtic are trying to add to their attacking options, while Adam Ida has left Parkhead to join Swansea in the last few minutes. Talking of strikers, Hibernian are pressing hard to sign Scotland international Lyndon Dykes from Birmingham City, while Aberdeen are set to announce the return of Kevin Nisbet, previously at Pittodrie on loan, on a permanent deal from Millwall. And here are some other deals that have been confirmed. Not many over the line just yet. Shayden Morris has left Aberdeen to sign for Luton Town. Rangers midfielder Oscar Cortes has joined Sporting Gijón on a season-long loan. It's also a loan deal that sees West Ham's Junior Robertson join Livingston, while Mackenzie Kirk has left St Johnstone to join Portsmouth. And a deal announced last night, German goalkeeper Alexander Schwolow has signed for Hearts. Plenty more business expected before 11 o'clock, with some Premiership managers more desperate than others to get last-minute deals over the line.
We're hoping to have definitely a couple in, and then maybe we'll see what happens after that, if there is one more or two more, depending on if anyone else goes here.
We hope that we can get the front line more threat, more speed, and that will really start to help us.
We obviously are getting names put to us. We obviously have had targets for a long time, but nothing to report just now.
We will be done. I'm looking forward to the transfer window closing. I'm delighted with the business that we've done.
We have identified things we want to improve, and let's see if we can. We have tried now, and let's see what's happening when the window is closing.
We have been working on things, and so I'd like to think that we can get another couple in.
You never know at the last minute of the window. Sometimes you can get good loan deals. You can get boys that have played at good levels that maybe thought other moves were going to happen. But so we're certainly be in the market. We'll be sitting by our phones.
I've made it pretty clear that we are in the market for a centre forward if possible. He's still a Birmingham player, and whilst the window's open, there'll be many names and many options we need to be looking at.
And you can follow all the transfers on our live Deadline Day page on the BBC Sport Scotland website. Now, there are just 4 days to go until Scotland kick off their World Cup qualifiers, and assistant coach Stephen Naismith says the national team have the right blend of youth and experience to take the country to its first World Cup since 1998. A big week for boss Steve Clarke began with a training session in the shadows of Hampden Park this afternoon. It was a reduced group, with some players resting after weekend club games. The Scots get a 6-game qualifying campaign underway in Denmark on Friday, before taking on Belarus in Hungary 3 days later. Greece make up the 4-team group. Only the group winners are guaranteed a place at next year's tournament.
What's been built over the last 4 or 5 years, in terms of when players turn up, they understand what's expected, what they're coming into, what's going to help them recover, be ready, what they're needing tactically. All that has progressed massively over the last 4 or 5 years. And you've got to use these three days to build up to that game. After that game, you need to keep that momentum going. And like I said, we're fortunate now that every player that's selected wants to be here. There's nobody that's half in. If they seize the opportunity, one, personally get caps, but two, chance to get to more major tournaments, and that's what, from the fans to the coaching staff to the players, everybody wants.
Golf, and Europe's Ryder Cup captain Luke Donald has backed Robert McIntyre to emulate his performance as a rookie in Italy 2 years ago when he tees up in the US later this month. Donald was announcing his 6 captain's picks for his team that will head to Bethpage in New York, aiming to retain the famous trophy. There is just one change to the European team from last time out, with Rasmus Højgaard replacing his brother Nikolai. McIntyre, the only Scot taking part, is expected to make a big impact.
What he's done over the last couple of years, but even just statistically, how he speaks, how he carries himself, he knows he's a completely different player than he was 2 years. And that's nice to know as a captain, that you've got someone that went unbeaten in Rome. Now he's very, very experienced at playing in the US and very experienced at playing at a much different level as well.
And that's all your sport this evening.
Good, looking forward to the Ryder Cup. Thank you, Sheila. Chris is here, new month. What's happening with the weather?
Turning decidedly autumnal, actually. A bit of sunshine around today, but also a fair amount of rain and showers. Thank you very much indeed, Laura. Very good evening to you. Yes, quite the day of it, really. Windy at times with some showers, long spells of rain. It's the start of the meteorological autumn. The thing you'll also notice this month is the sunsets getting earlier and earlier. The left-hand column, today's time of sunset. The right-hand column, the end of the month. It'll be before 7 p.m, so losing about an hour and a half at the end of the day in terms of daylight. On that cheery note, let's take a look at the weather for the week ahead. We've got low pressure in charge, so it's unsettled, weather fronts, rain and the jet stream running to the south of us there. This is the picture through the course of this evening and overnight. Fairly frequent showers, 1 or 2 on the heavy side. But as we go through the early hours, drying up through parts of central and southern Scotland. Still breezy, nothing desperately cold, 11, 12 Celsius as the overnight low. That takes us to tomorrow, and it's a bit of a cloudy start across northern parts of the country with some showers. Elsewhere, some early brightness, and then as we go through into the afternoon, it's sunny spells and showers for everyone, really. And once again, those showers could be on the heavy side, perhaps even the odd rumble of thunder too. Temperatures by mid-afternoon, 17 to 19 Celsius for many. 1 or 2 spots maybe reaching 20 degrees in the northeast, but again, those showers could be on the heavy side. Once again, it will be breezy through the Minches there with some sharp showers. Again, the odd rumble of thunder is possible. And then through tomorrow evening and tomorrow night, those showers fading away. Some clear skies, cooler than this coming night, mid-single digits in the countryside. That takes us to Wednesday and Thursday. Low pressure still with us, so weather fronts once again swirling around that area of low pressure. That means rather unsettled and actually quite wet on Wednesday. A lot of cloud around and some heavy rain through central and southern Scotland. If you're underneath that band of rain, it will be soggy. A reversal of fortunes on Thursday. Showers in the northwest, drier and brighter elsewhere. Today, the Met Office issued their list of names they'll use for upcoming storms that may come our way. Over the next few months, we need to get ready for Amy, Bram, Chandra and Storm Dave. That's the forecast.
Storm Dave sounds nice.
No Laura, though.
No. Thank you, Chris. And that is Reporting Scotland. The late news is at 10:30. Till then, from everyone on the team, enjoy the rest of your evening. Good night.